Hi, I'm Wendy Curran. I'm here in my conservatory at home today in a rainy Scotland. I wanted to share a short video with you on a subject very close to my heart called Mindcam meditation. I've been practicing Mindcam for several years now, and I've been teaching it as a Mindcam coach for at least 2 years. One thing that I find quite tricky as a Mindcam coach is to communicate the benefits that can be experienced as part of practicing Mindcam. So I wanted to share with you today a personal story, something that happened just this morning, which shows the benefits that can come right into your life very quickly and very easily with the simple and effective tool that is Mindcam meditation. Today when I met the world, I wasn't feeling particularly joyous. I don't ever have that Monday feeling, but it was kind of like a Monday morning feeling. I was lying in bed thinking, oh, I need to get up. Oh, I've got so much to do. Oh, it's raining outside. And generally not really feeling full of the joys of spring as I normally am. So in those moments, as I went over and over the lists of things that I had to do in my head, I began noticing my body becoming more and more tense. And eventually, after maybe about 20 minutes of that, I decided to get up and get out of bed. Anyway, that was a little bit later than usual. So fast forward an hour or so, and it's time for myself and my 2 children, my 2 lovely boys, to leave the house and go to school. We're running a little bit late by this point because Mummy didn't get up on time. So we've managed the school uniforms, everyone had breakfast, calmly, thankfully we didn't throw it down our necks, and we're at the front door just ready to go. I look around, looking for my children's school bags and realise, oh, they must be in the cupboard. As I lifted the bags, I thought, they're lighter than usual. And when I investigated that, I found that there were no snacks or water made up in the children's bags. Now, as any mum knows, when you're in those few minutes just before you're about to leave the house, frantically going through a list in your head to try and remember and make sure that you've done everything you're supposed to have done, and praying to whoever that the traffic on the road is going to be kind so that you can actually get to school on time, to find out that the children's bags have no snack and no water in them, and no snack and no water made up, is a bit of a problem. So you might expect that in that moment I just calmly sailed through the whole situation and didn't bat an eyelid. I could tell you that, but that would be a lie, and I don't like to lie. I like to tell the truth. So what actually happened was so we're at the door, and the bags are there, but they don't have the snacks, right? So I rush into the kitchen to see if my husband has put them somewhere, that they're just not in the bags, to find out that not only has he not put them in the bags, but he's actually not made up the snacks or the water. By this point, my blood pressure is feeling pretty high, my heart's beating pretty fast, my mind is completely racing, and I'm calling my husband an awful lot of very unpleasant names inside my head. So I called him on the phone. And thankfully for me and thankfully for him, I didn't get hold of him at that time, but I left him quite an unpleasant message. Meanwhile, the clock, as we all know, the clock is ticking on and ticking on. So in that moment I thought, do you know what? I'm getting really stressed here. The kids are looking at me as if I'm a complete maniac, and I'm just not feeling good at all. So thankfully I got that little bit of insight and that little bit of awareness to say, oh, I'm not feeling so good right now. And in that moment, with the benefit of the Mindcam techniques that I practice and use and teach, I was able to make a choice. I was able to see that I had a choice, and then I was able to make a choice. I was able to say, do you know what? I could continue with this drama. I could get really, really upset. I could even cry because I was feeling that upset, remembering that my day hadn't started particularly well. So this was just like the straw that was about to break the mummy camel's back. And I thought, do you know what? The kids need snacks and they need water to go to school. There's no one else here to do it other than me. And by the time that I make these snacks and fill these water bottles, it'll be past time to go to school. So I had a moment of realisation that we were just going to be late. Simple as that, we were just going to be late. So I communicated that to the children, because I'm always keen that they don't get all flustered about time and running late and get stressed, especially in the morning when they're heading for their learning day ahead. So I just turned to them and said, you know what, guys? We're going to be late today, and that's okay. We're just going to be late. So we calmly kept going and organised the snacks, organised the water, arrived at school having driven along the road just as I normally would, nice and relaxed. No drama, no rushing the kids, no shouting at the kids, not at all. Honestly, hand on heart, I didn't shout at my children this morning, although I could have, and I do sometimes, but I didn't today. And the reason that I didn't today is because the Mindcam technique kicked in, and the knowledge that I have of Mindcam and the awareness that I have been able to foster in my life, and the ability to move my attention at will, allowed me to see the thoughts that were bubbling up in my mind. They allowed me to see the stress that I was experiencing in my body and in my mind, and it allowed me to make a different choice. I just made a different choice. And the pièce de résistance for me was when we drove up to the school and arrived at the door, as I'm saying to my children, now take your time, there's no rush, and we're kissing goodbye, and I'm saying I'll see them later as I go and pick them up, which I'm about to go and do soon. Who walks across the front doorway but the headmistress. So not only have I had the drama of waking up feeling not quite myself this morning, running late for school, having to do the snacks and the water bottles at short notice, and therefore running even more late for school, but the pièce de résistance was the head teacher was standing right there as we arrived at school. So, and then also in that moment I realised I had two choices. I could get really worried and frightened of the head teacher, because you know how sometimes even though you're not the school pupil, that person can still be a little bit scary. Maybe that's just me, but that person can still be a little bit scary. And in that moment I thought, do you know what? We're late. It's a simple thing. It doesn't happen all the time. It's just a thing that's happened today because my husband has simply forgotten to do one small thing, which earlier on had felt like a massive thing, I have to say. But he's simply forgotten to do one small thing. It's no big deal. It's no big drama, so let's not make it so. So I simply explained we explained to the headmistress what had happened. And she just actually smiled and said, oh, Daddy's going to be in trouble today then, later on. At which point I said, yep, I'm off to sort that out now. And I'm delighted to say that the conversation I had with my husband, again, it could have gone one of two ways. I could have screamed and shouted at him down the phone for how dare he, forget to do something so fundamental, blah, 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 blah. But thankfully, by the time I spoke to him and had been using the Mindcam techniques, engaging Gawo, which I'm going to talk to you about in a moment. I'm actually going to give you a wee taste of that today so you can get a feel for the experience of Mindcam and the magic that can happen just by simply engaging stage 1 of Mindcam, which is to engage Gawo. So thankfully, by the time that I spoke to him, I was feeling very calm, very relaxed. I was off to continue the rest of my day. No need for shouting, no need for any further drama. And I actually heard myself speaking the words, something like, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this situation is in the past. And it's done now. You've apologised. You've explained that it was a simple mistake and it's over. We've just let it go now and move on. I'm off to get on with the rest of my day. I could have chosen to let that run around in my head for the rest of today, or I could have chosen to shout at him and take my frustration out on him. But ultimately, thankfully, I had enough awareness to see that that wouldn't have made any difference. It wouldn't have got us to school on time, because that had already happened. So that's just a simple practical example, and I have many of those, because I don't know about you, but my life can be quite dramatic sometimes, and Mindcam just never fails to surprise me how many times it switches itself on almost, that the awareness that I have just kicks in and either saves me from myself and what I'm about to say or do, or just saves me from the situation, and allows me to move on, let it go, and carry on enjoying the rest of the day. And that is the beauty and power of Mindcam in one simple example. So I'd love to right now share the technique with you. Step 1, which is to engage Gawo. So I'd love you to play along with me. If you want to get yourself sitting comfortably, I'm sitting comfortably right now in the conservatory, and it is still raining outside, but hey ho, I do live in Scotland, and some of you maybe do as well. And if you've never been to Scotland, it sometimes rains in Scotland, and you have the choice to let it bother you or just to accept it and carry on. Kind of like Mindcam actually. So step 1, engage Gawo. So what I want you to do is, when you're comfortable in your chair, I want you to take your focus looking straight ahead, right at the screen and straight at me. Let your breathing be easy. Remember to blink. But I want you to maintain a focused gaze, looking straight ahead, right at me. That's it. Fantastic. And as you gaze straight forward, straight ahead, looking at me, what I want you to do is to begin to open up your gaze, begin to expand your vision, and begin to notice what's to the left and what's to the right of me. What can you see around the screen? What's to the left of the screen and what's to the right of the screen? Remember to blink and remember to breathe, and simply notice as you maintain your focus straight ahead, directly at me. Allow your attention and focus to expand. Allow your vision to expand to the left and to the right. The picture might look a bit fuzzy because you're using your eyes in a different way perhaps to usual. But notice how much you can actually see to the left and to the right. Fantastic. And now we're going to take that one step further. And I want you to expand your vision to notice and take in what's above the screen and what's below the screen. So you might begin to see a little bit of the wall or the ceiling above your computer or your phone. You might even begin to see a little bit of your own legs down below the screen. Allowing that vision to open right up, being gently alert, attention wide open, still breathing, always blinking, completely at rest. And as you maintain that expanded awareness, if I was to ask you for one word to describe that experience, what word would that be? What does it feel like to have all of your attention and focus right here, right now? Remember that word. And you can let that practice go. And just maintain your gaze as you normally would. And what I'd love for you to do is to come onto my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/health and wellbeing with Wendy, all one word. Health and Wellbeing with Wendy. I'd love for you to come onto my Facebook page and let me know what that word was. That word that popped into your head from nowhere or somewhere when all of your attention and focus was right here, right now, in this present moment. So come onto the Facebook page, come and join me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you thought of Gawo, what you think of this video. Maybe, do you like my scarf? Do you like my red top? Who knows? I'd just love to hear from you. I love to connect with people. It's what I was born to do. I am quite an introvert, but I absolutely, surprisingly love connecting with people, particularly in a heart sense. And Mindcam meditation gives me a wonderful opportunity to do that on a day-to-day basis. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about how Mindcam can practically help in everyday life. The simple, effective technique that has only 3 steps. So you've already learned step 1 and there are only 2 more to learn. It's so simple, it's so portable, can be used eyes open or eyes closed. I actually find that the eyes closed practice supports and underpins my eyes open practice, so my experience in day-to-day life. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that the more I practice Mindcam with my eyes closed on a regular basis, then the better my experience of everyday life is. The more that I'm able to be calm, centred, content, and wholly present for the people in my life, for my children, for my husband, for my clients, for my family, for anyone, even some random person at a bus stop or in a shop who I come into contact with. It's all about connection. So let's get connected. Health and Wellbeing with Wendy. I'd love to hear that word and I'd love to hear what you think. Bye for now. Speak to you soon. Bye.